But are you ready though? Really?
I'm ready.
Excellent. All right. Hey, it's a new year, and it's still a mess here. But that's fine. That's fine. It's my fault. I don't know what day it is. I'm giving them the wrong day. John Peckman Podcast 2025. Here we are. You know what I'm saying? Still, come over the bridge. Take a left. Pull a Yui at the light. Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Beautiful downtown Portland. We're here. Our first podcast of the brand new year 2025. A repeat performance. A repeat appearance by Mr. Alvin Benjamin Carter Jr. There he is.
Part two. Alvin Benjamin Carter Jr. and Peckbone.
Oh, hey. Peckbone. That's right. Peckbone. Yeah, Peckbone giving you the wrong date. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, 2025, I still don't appear to have it together, but that's okay. I don't know if I got it together, it wouldn't be the same. Just the way it's got to be. So what is going on? It's been, we figured it out. Like you were here like 2 years ago.
It was sometime in 2022. So
wow. Okay.
Sometime between a year and a half and 2 years ago.
Whoa. So what is new? Don't say nothing.
Not a whole lot. Oh no, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. A lot of the cool stuff that was going on is like more of it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And then
also he's a drummer, boys and girls, in case you didn't know. I forgot. Yeah. So yeah, Alvin been around playing drums. He's the man, and now he's going to tell us what he's doing.
Tonight, I'm hanging out with Peckbone. Just reiterating.
Right. That's the most important thing.
2024 was nice and busy.
Okay.
It wasn't ridiculous. It was like manageable.
Yeah.
Because my claim to fame is
too much
being a drummer with a day job.
Right.
So navigating employment and artistic stuff.
Yeah.
So doing cool stuff.
Cool.
Being a board member of the Artist Collective.
Oh.
We're gearing up for some great things.
And that's where?
That's in Hartford.
Okay.
An arts academy that's been around since 1970.
Hey.
They're about to celebrate their 52nd year.
Wow. That's heavy.
And I've been involved with them for 50 years.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah.
When did you start there?
I started there in 1972.
You were a kid.
So 52. They're coming up on 55 years,
Whoa.
I think it is.
Wow.
But I started there as a kid.
How old were as a kid?
10 years old.
Whoa. Okay.
Started there at 10 years old.
Yeah.
An Artist Collective was founded by saxophone legend Jackie McLean.
Right.
And his beautiful wife, Dolly McLean.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole host of luminaries have learned, taught,
the
whole shebang.
And
we'll more on that a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
I've been working with R&B legend Kenny Hamber.
Oh, nice.
That's still going on. We've been doing that. I've been with him over 30 years.
Wow.
The Alvin Carter Project, Legacy, Keepers of Tradition is still busy.
Yep.
I didn't mention, I'm surprised I didn't get shot last time. I didn't mention working with the Afro-Semitic experience.
Right.
And
which I know about that.
What are we? I don't know, 25, 26 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Some ridiculously long time that you don't realize how long it is until you look back and try to remember how long it is.
And you're like, uh-oh. Yeah.
And then whatever freelance stuff.
Yep.
I've been working with Linda Ransom.
Oh,
powerhouse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Powerhouse singer.
Yeah, the best.
And then I have various singers. I'm working with them. Mm-hmm. They work with me. Pat Thompson. Yeah. I've started naming names. I'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
Sigourney Square Family Festival is going to be the 2025?
Yeah.
It's going to be the 39th year.
Wow.
Of live music, Sigourney Square Park, homegrown artists.
Yeah.
No committee. It's all up to me.
Oh, well, hey, I am the committee. That's kind of awesome.
Still working with the Greater Hartford Festival of Jazz.
Yep.
That's one of the most fun endeavors
Oh, yeah.
I get to be involved in as the stage manager. I just get to meet
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
get to meet all my idols.
Mm. Who was the biggest deal? What was the biggest thrill for you?
You know, that, okay.
Yeah.
There are a couple of times where I got to be on stage with whatever luminary was on stage. One that stands out is Tom Brown, Funkin' for Jamaica,
Okay.
was there with Bob Baldwin, keyboardist extraordinaire.
Yeah.
And my good friend Michael Mills was the percussionist that day.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm standing off to the side.
Yeah.
They're doing the outro of the last song of their performance.
Yeah.
And Mike looks over at me and he's like, Alvin, come play. My shoulder, man, my shoulder, come play.
Oh, no.
I'm like, you sure?
Oof.
So I walk out on stage. I start playing the congas. Bob turns around, getting ready to give the head fake to end the song. He sees me on the congas and goes
back to the top.
Ladies and gentlemen, and on congas, Alvin Carter.
And there you are.
Take a solo. So, you know.
So you went from 0 to solo in like 5 steps. Yeah.
And it was great. You know, 25,000 people, your hometown.
Whoa.
You know.
That's crazy.
And the icon, Tom Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really cool. That was a really cool instance.
That's heavy.
There was another one where there's this. Oh, you got to check this guy out.
I'm ready.
His name is Tony Sukar.
Okay.
He's a percussionist and an arranger.
Okay.
And whatever the heck else he wants to be.
And he's from where?
Central America.
Okay.
I want to say
Okay.
Peru.
Okay.
I want to say Peru.
Okay.
He's half Peruvian. His mother is Asian and South American.
Okay.
His father's South American. But this guy is, he's just a savage.
Yeah.
He has a whole repertoire of like Michael Jackson songs done in a Latin jazz way.
Whoa.
But anyway, first time he came, he needed a djembe.
Oh, boy.
So
Yep.
I have
Yep.
several.
You're the guy to call. Yeah.
So he says, no, I'm not going to play. You're going to play.
Boom.
And his mother was the lead vocalist on the song.
Oh,
and it was a 6/8.
No pressure.
So it was,
Yeah.
you know, African inflected, you know. I'm like, well, you know that is kind of what I do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like,
So that was cool. A few years later, he's back.
oh, boy.
He asked for me.
Nice.
Yeah, so, things like that. Those, almost better than a paid gig.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I hear you.
But
I don't know if I asked you this last time, but hand percussion and drum set came together at the same time for you, or one or the other? Or just
sort
one
of, but
those?
not really.
Yeah.
So
Because not everybody does both.
Daddy was congas.
Yep.
Mommy was dancer.
Oh, okay.
So, of course, you start out doing what Dad does.
Yeah.
And it was, I wasn't a prodigy.
Mm-hmm.
I just was interested. I just wanted to do it. And what would happen is when he was with his friends, you know, back then, kids and adults, that wasn't a thing.
Right.
Kids leave the
go
room,
to your room.
the adults are doing whatever.
Yep.
But I kept easing in, you know.
Yeah.
And finally he said, okay, you can play, but you can't play around.
Huh. If you're going to do it, you got to do it.
He said, you can play, but you can't play around. So I was like, okay, yeah. So he was showing me stuff, and I was probably 6 or 7.
Wow.
I took my first drum set lesson when I was 10.
Oh, okay.
I like remember the exact summer and everything
Wow.
that started. I had been exposed to the drum set, but I wasn't like taking lessons. I didn't own one.
Yeah.
I knew people that had one, but when I finally got a chance to sit down and try to learn drums, I was 10 years old, and it was at the Artist Collective.
Hey, there it is.
So
That's the age 10 thing.
it was playing drum set, playing hand percussion
Mm-hmm.
as the need
Yeah.
arose.
And do you consider yourself even one or the other, or just what's the gig?
It depends on what day you ask me.
Right. Yeah.
And how long I've been doing a few of these
Yeah.
and a lot of these and then a few of these and a lot of these.
Yeah.
So one day I might be with a West African dance troupe.
Yeah.
I heard it said, and I find it's true, djembe is a young man's game.
Okay. Just because of the hands.
But, well, and just the when
physicality.
Done intensely,
Yeah.
it will take its toll on you.
Okay.
Unless it's like anything else.
Yeah.
The finesse kicks in as you get older.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you were young,
Mm-hmm.
you carried all your drums in and you carried your hardware bag
Didn't
in.
even think
and
about
when you
it.
got older, you got a cart.
Yep. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
It's kind of
I didn't
like
even
that.
think about that.
Yeah,
about
right.
Carrying gear.
And when I first got a cart, I was like, how the heck didn't I have a cart all this time? So in playing hand percussion,
mm-hmm.
congas was easier for me because I had been doing it longer.
Okay.
And the lot of a conga player, especially in a funk band, the first person to not have microphones is the conga player.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
After.
Okay. The conga player doesn't have mics. Then the next person they start taking mics from is the drummer.
Yeah. Right,
so either way, I'm losing mics until the band gets a real PA.
Yeah.
So I had the ability to play at a level commensurate with the band without being mic'd.
Ooh.
I had developed that.
And that is a young
So
man's
that
game.
kind of helped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had the advantage of hanging with the African American and African guys who play more African inflected congas and hanging with the Latin jazz and salsa guys and being from the Bronx.
Yeah.
So I got heavy, I'll say authentic Latin percussion chops as well. So I wasn't
which not everybody does.
Right.
So you're in three worlds, drum set and Latin and African.
So I wasn't an expert at any of them, but I was a long timer at all of them.
That's cool.
So that, even now, I mean, honestly, John.
Yeah.
I get respect that sometimes I don't think I deserve.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, and you and I both know, you can see people half your age with twice your skill.
Yeah, it happens.
Especially in music.
Yeah, sure.
You get a 10-year-old prodigy who's just all over.
It happens.
You know what I mean? And the only thing you have on that guy is experience. You've been playing for 1,000 years.
Right.
You know what to play, when to play it,
Sure.
yada, yada, yada.
Sure.
So, and I said this last time I was here, I think I'm 32.
Okay.
And shoulder to shoulder with these guys. And no, I'm 62, and they're going, hey, Brother Al, here, man, here's a chair. Here's your beverage. Hey, you want me to carry your stuff?
Oh, hey, and you're like, I like the third part.
No, but you get what I'm saying? I think I'm in there mixing it up.
And
they reminded me, no, man, you're the OG. No, we respect, man. You know, whatever I may or may not have done.
Well,
and that always, I like it, but it's still kind of uncomfortable because when somebody that I've known since they were 10 and I was 30.
Yeah.
And now here we are 30 years later. They're grown with kids, travel the world, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And they still look at me. I'll tell you what it's like.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
If you've ever been to a traditional martial arts school.
Which I have not.
A person can be of a higher belt rank than you,
Okay.
but if you've been at that school longer, you're still the senior brother.
Okay.
I could be a 3rd-degree black belt
Yeah.
and have been at this school for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a 5th-degree black belt who's been there for 20.
Yeah.
You would figure that because he's a 5th-degree black belt, he's the senior brother. No, he's the senior rank.
Yeah.
But the
So there's
senior
a
brother is the guy who's been there and in the experience in the longest.
Okay.
So what I have is I'm 62.
Yeah.
I've been out playing since I was 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
However long that is,
Yeah.
however
Yeah, me
good
too.
or
Yep.
not good I was or wasn't, I started then and I'm still doing it now.
Yeah.
And people pay attention to that almost as much as they pay attention to can they play.
Oh wow.
You get
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying?
I think so. Yeah. But that's all right.
Yeah, I mean,
Let it happen.
a
you know.
perfect example of that
Yeah.
is Alvin Carter Sr.
Oh boy. Yeah.
because he does not see himself the way the rest of the percussion community sees him.
Yeah.
He sees himself, here's the community,
Yeah.
and he sees himself here. Well, here's the community, and they see him
Wow.
here.
Mm-hmm.
And it cracked. I'm like, no, Dad, you don't get it. They don't look at you like that because you can't play. They look at you like that because they've seen you. They know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now I'm beginning to experience a little
Yeah,
of
but
that. And so
that's how it happens.
Yeah,
though.
right. You don't realize it.
Yeah, you don't announce. I'm now collecting the respect that they just give it to you.
You find
because-
out
right,
that it's
right,
happening.
Right.
And when I first found out it was happening, I'm like, wait, I'm not an OG yet. I'm still trying to,
Well,
I'm still trying to be a contender. I'm still looking for the title shot.
yeah, but I know what you mean, though. That I feel the same way. I mean, I think it's cool though because it keeps you on your toes. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think I ever got it. You know, I mean, I know I feel like I'm fairly realistic about where I'm at, but I ain't done. You know.
I think the cool thing is, I realized early on
Yeah.
that the Grammy wasn't the epitome.
Right.
The $1 million, the stadiums. Now, don't get me wrong.
Mm.
If it comes,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm riding that train.
Yeah.
Okay. But the fact that I've been doing it this long and have 99.99999% of the time enjoyed what and who
Yeah.
and
Well,
when
you know, that's the
and
hardest
how.
part. Right.
And so, and I know it.
Yeah.
There are people who go, well, yeah, that's how you feel because you never made the big time. But as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
playing with people I want to play with,
Yeah.
doing the gigs I'm allowed to do,
Yeah.
and all that, and my family is around,
Yep.
and
Yep.
there was a time period where the $75 gig kept me away from my son's basketball game. That doesn't happen anymore because I realize now
That's what it's
$76,
Right.
but no, I got to be at my grandson's basketball game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Now, my family would understand if, the Yellow Jackets called and you know what I mean?
Right.
They'd get it because they only know Grandpa, the drummer.
Right.
My wife knows Alvin, the drummer.
Mm-hmm.
So they would get, even most jobs I've had, if I said, listen, I'm going on tour for a month.
Yeah, I got to go.
But I want the job when I come back.
Yeah.
If you can figure that out, I'd love to do it because
Yeah.
I might do this tour for a month, but it's not like, I'm going on tour and it's supposed to be a month and it lasts for 2 years and I made enough money over 2 years that
Yeah.
I don't even need to work a day job. And it's
Well,
not that.
Right. Not for cats like us.
Work.
Yeah.
Is there a gig today? Play the gig.
Yeah.
Is there a rehearsal today? Do the rehearsal.
Yeah.
No gig? No rehearsal? Maybe there's some practice.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
There's probably something else I need to be doing
Yeah.
that I'm finally going to get around to do.
Yeah, man. I hear you. But as long as because I feel like the same. I don't play as much as I used to, so I'm not feeling the progress as a player as quickly. But I still am working on it, and I'm just like, okay, I'm still in it. There's still things that I'm not that I want to be better at. Like I'm still there.
You came
I'm still in there.
and you didn't leave.
Right.
And that's so much of such a major ingredient
Mm-hmm.
is I know guys who would say stuff to me like, man, I didn't make it. I never got my shot.
Yeah.
And I was like, what shot is it that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Because I didn't get a shot. I wanted to play, and so I'm playing. And when I'm not hired and I didn't book a gig, I'm not playing, but I'm still a player.
Right. Right. As
I'm
long
still
as you're
a player.
progressing.
Yeah, I'm still a player.
Right.
And so that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
I don't call myself a dancer anymore because I haven't been dancing in years.
Gotcha.
But there was a time I was also a dancer.
Yeah.
I'm not an actor anymore.
Yeah.
Because I have not been acting for
Right.
a long time. But there was a time I was playing the drums, acting, and dancing.
Crazy.
And I was doing them all.
Yeah.
And then more work came as a drummer.
Yeah.
And I pursued it more. I worked at it more.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
that's the way it went.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And everything cool in my life, secularly, comes from the fact that I was associated with the drums, and in particular, Alvin Carter Sr.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Stage manager, because I was a musician, and this person knew me, and I'm doing that, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So playing the drums in church.
Yeah.
Playing the drums in church, and then so sitting there long enough, and it finally gets, oh, look, Jesus, and then now that's a major,
Yeah.
that's the, like, Jesus is the center of my life.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, it's being associated with my wife. You're going to love this.
Oh, boy.
Come to Hartford in 1972.
Okay.
Come to the Honors Collective, 1972.
Whoa.
I'm 10 years old.
There you are.
My drum teacher is Daoud Kareem.
Okay.
His American name was Doug Woods. And he was the paramour of Cheryl Smith, dance teacher extraordinaire. We all call her Mama Cheryl. Anyway, I'm taking drum lessons. Sharice Pritchett is taking dance lessons from Cheryl.
Mm.
She's more aware of me than I am of her because I'm the older kid from New York.
Yeah.
And, the girls are talking about Alvin and Andre. So I was aware, but not really. She was only 8. But,
Sure.
Years later, we're talking about way back when, and I'm relating a story to someone about a trip we took for a performance for the Artist Collective. I was there.
Whoa.
What do you mean you were
Yeah.
Yeah, you and your father and your brother. And I said, we went on the Ranger Andy show. I was there. And it was this one and this. I was like, wow, we really have known each other all this time.
That's wild.
Fast forward.
Yeah.
I'm in high school.
Yeah.
I have a friend, Preston May. He's a drummer. We're at Weaver High School, but he's playing in a band.
Okay.
And the band was Sharice, her sister Laura,
Yeah.
her brother Eric, and her brother Joseph.
Whoa.
That was the band.
Wow.
At that time, I think it was called Pizzazz.
Okay.
Still hadn't seen Sharice from when we were kids.
Yeah.
Fast forward again, I leave UConn, and I'm studying at Harvard Conservatory.
Did you know it was her then? Did you put it together?
No.
Okay. All right.
I had seen pictures.
Yeah.
Because Preston showed me the picture. When you take a band picture.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
he showed me.
Yeah.
He was proving to everybody he was in a band. So he was, man, I got the. So years later, I'm studying at the Hartford Conservatory. And so was her brother Eric. They were looking for a drummer.
Oh, boy.
He was interested, but I didn't have a car.
Oh boy.
A year later, they were still looking for a drummer. I had a car. I showed up to rehearsal. I'm sitting on a speaker waiting for the rehearsal to start.
Yeah.
And my future wife comes floating down the stairs.
Hey.
Okay, now I had already been married once.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
When she came down the stairs, I didn't, before that, there was a figure, but I couldn't put a face to it.
Yeah.
When she came down the stairs, the face, I'm like,
that's that girl.
now, did I act like it right away? No. Was I an idiot like most young guys are who think they got it going on?
Yeah.
Yes, I was.
Yeah,
but here we are. 36 years later, we've been married for 30 years.
Whoa.
Okay.
Hey, man.
I met my wife at the Artist Collective.
Without knowing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So
wow.
My life is charmed like that.
That's
man.
wild.
It's just
and then you're
like
part of it. You're still part of the thing. Yeah.
My father taught at the Artist Collective.
Yeah.
I studied and taught at the Artist Collective. My wife's mother taught at the Artist Collective. My wife took dance at the Artist Collective. My son, Alvin III, studied at the Artist Collective.
Oh.
So, Daddy, me, and 3 generations.
Yeah. And then on the other side.
Yeah, right. And then on my wife's side. So her sister Laura, who's 2 years younger than her, she was dancing with Cheryl.
I wonder how many other stories there are that aren't you guys around that too. You know what I'm saying?
Listen.
Like it's got to be. That's a hell of a lot better than meeting your wife in a bar. You know, like
thousands.
Right. Yeah.
Like no exaggeration.
Community.
Thousands.
Yeah.
If you live in Hartford or the greater Hartford area, and you are 45 to 70.
Yeah, you went through it.
You danced with Cheryl Smith,
Gotcha.
Akko, or both.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay.
Just the way it is. That's
Artist
awesome.
Collective. Steve Davis.
Yeah.
Curtis Brothers.
Okay. Yeah.
On and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Because when Jackie came and did the program at the Hart School.
Yep.
And they started the Artist Collective, many of his students from the Hart School ended up as teachers.
Oh yeah.
At the Artist Collective.
Wow.
So
you imagine that?
Between the Artist Collective, see, at that time in the 70s, a ton of arts going on, man.
Yeah.
Real Artways was hammering it out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Shanti School, it was a culturally centered school.
Yeah.
Guakia.
Yeah, I don't know any of this.
It centered on Afro-Caribbean, Ray Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Trumpet icon.
Yeah.
Him and his wife, they ran Guakia for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And so I just have been blessed to either be directly involved or vicariously.
See, that's why you're the OG though, because they know your lineage.
It's funny. You pick a clique.
Yeah.
And I was either like in it or got buddies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I enjoyed being able to just go from circle to circle.
Right.
And
you
enjoy
have
the camaraderie.
And you have the skills. You're with this crew and that crew and this crew.
And I'll try any genre 16 times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too.
I've played metal stuff, played polka stuff, salsa stuff, blues, gospel. I'll give it a shot.
Why not?
And
all it takes is years.
And one of the things is I'm afraid to suck, but I'm not afraid to make a mistake.
Well, that's the number one thing. That's the number one thing.
And I haven't had students in a while, but people have been asking me, so I'm probably going to start something. But when I did, I was like, listen, you got to do it wrong till you do it right.
Well, that's, totally.
You have to not.
That's one of my things.
You're going to, when you start, you're going to suck.
Yeah. That's one of my.
99% of us are gonna. Very few of us are gonna take to it like a duck to water. Most of us are gonna suck.
That's one of the things I say to my kids if they get themselves in the zone. I go, you know what? Let's do it 10 times wrong before we even think about it. Like, don't even worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, just do it before I even go. You know what? I said, just give it 10 tries. Go before we even talk. Just get it out of the way. Don't worry about it, because that's the only way. You know, you just got to jump in.
And it's literally like anything.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So.
Yep. All right, here I got a question for you. So, how is playing the congas different? Impossible question, but I'm just curious.
No, actually,
in African versus Afro-Cuban versus.
Okay, so if you're talking about like Nigeria type stuff,
okay,
in the United States, you might be playing congas when on the continent it was probably a different drum.
Okay.
It could be that.
Right.
Okay. But
congas came from where?
Yeah, well, the Central West Africa is where it's mostly known, and then the Caribbean and South America.
Yep.
There were other drums, but the conga
survived.
Right. The timbal was because the oil cans.
Oh, okay.
And the steel drums was because of oil cans.
Right.
Or drums.
Sure.
Containers.
Sure.
The djembe is mostly known West Africa, like the underside of the hump.
Okay.
That's not the only place, but that's where it's widely known.
Yeah.
I remember in the 60s and 70s, it was bongos, congas, timbales.
Yeah, we didn't know what a djembe was.
Late 60s, it started to creep in. By 70s, people were on the djembe and people were on the sabar.
Okay.
Okay. And then djembe, by the 90s, it had taken off.
Yeah, that's when
it had just taken off.
Yeah.
And I didn't start out learning djembe till I was an adult.
Okay.
I had seen it. I tried a little bit as a teenager, but I was dancing, playing the drum set, playing congas and acting.
Yeah.
A venerable cultural dance teacher, Christine Dixon Smith, we call her Nandi, had a performance, no drummers. She had a djembe. I didn't even own a djembe.
Yeah.
She asked me, she just knew me as a drummer, so she, hey, can you? I said, listen, I know one rhythm.
Right.
I'll play that rhythm.
Sure.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, she didn't have a problem with it. The audience didn't have a problem with it. I said to myself, man, I suck. Because I knew I wasn't playing djembe technique.
Right.
Playing conga technique on a djembe drum.
Yeah, sure.
A djembe player goes, what is he doing? If he listened to me, he'll say, what is he doing?
Yeah.
So I said, I got to learn to play this drum.
Yeah.
I can't be fronting. I haven't been fronting before now. I can't be pawning myself off. And the sad thing, John, I know one or two people who are long timers who they're not really, but they pawn themselves off as.
Oh.
And it's kind of, drums are the only instrument that you get a pass on. I should say hand percussion. You get a pass on not knowing how to play, and people still accept it. For instance, John Peckman, saxophone player, front of the band.
Yeah.
But when he's not playing sax, he's got two congas and some, we call them toys.
Sure.
He'll get up there and boonga loonga 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 loonga. Nobody will get upset.
Right.
Nobody will get upset.
Right.
But you get up there with that saxophone and just start honking, and then you can't really play.
I got you.
They'll beat you to death.
Yeah.
Drums is the only instrument that people get a pass on.
Yeah.
And then somebody has to pull you aside. And I did that to somebody one time.
Yeah.
I told a friend of mine, she was the singer of the band. I said, listen, tell your percussionist.
Oh, no.
please learn how to play the instrument.
Yeah.
If he's going to be on stage doing gigs.
Then don't ever see me play djembe.
It's an affront
Yeah, right.
to those of us who play the same way. If I got up there and was singing and sounded, like a beached whale,
Sure.
You'd be, it would bother you, and it would bother you more if the audience loved it.
Right. Yeah. You'd be like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're like, wait, what is, how do they
Interesting.
not know?
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah.
This person came to me. He didn't get upset. He took 6 lessons with me.
Hey.
I showed him some basics.
Yeah.
I didn't see him for years. He plays. He's not awesome, but he wrote a percussion book.
Hey.
For beginners.
Yeah.
So not everybody will get offended.
Yeah.
If you if you pull their coat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I've lived long enough to see that.
Yeah, that's
cool. I just knew that I got to spend time learning this drum.
Yeah.
I started working with a group called Sankofa Kuumba Cultural Arts. They did West African dance primarily, a lot of Afro-Caribbean, and Ayanda Clark and Abdoulaye Sila gave me the opportunity to learn.
Yep.
Play for the classes, but learn. There was no djembe lessons.
Yeah,
There was show up when we're playing or show up for the class. Here's the rhythm.
Yep.
And play it. They'll tell you if you suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was how I got into the djembe.
Because you're playing for dancers anyway, right? So they know.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, they know when it's wrong, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't know who's screwing it up.
Right.
But they know it's probably the new guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the drum sounds a certain way when you touch it correctly. When you don't touch it correctly, a player can tell.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you've been around congas long enough, you know when you hear a tone, you know when you hear a bass, you know when you hear a slap, and you know when you hear a flub.
Yeah.
You hear the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'd been playing for a couple years, and then I really fell in love with, we call them the bottoms, the drums that augment the djembe, the doon.
Okay.
The 3
lower
drums.
Yeah.
There's usually 2 or 3 djembe players, and then a big drum, medium drum, and a little drum. And very often one guy's playing all 3. A lot of times that guy was me.
Yeah, I got
People say, oh, because the sticks and it. No, it wasn't that. It was literally the sound of those drums.
Yeah.
And, what you had to do to make it integrate. And so I took to.
Okay.
Like a duck to water.
Yeah, right.
The bottoms.
So that's your spot.
Yeah, I was like, I know what this is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I got a gig at the Hartford Stage Company. It was a play called The Colored Museum.
Okay.
And it had 5 characters, and the 6th character was the drums.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
No speaking part.
Yeah.
But there were parts in the performance where the music was a conga player.
Yeah.
And djembe.
Wow.
And I got the gig. They didn't know any. Well, I won't say there wasn't anybody. The people didn't know anybody but me.
Well.
I didn't own a djembe. They bought one.
Hey.
I bought it from my friend Patrick Eaglin, the wise old goat, we call him. He passed away a little while back. So I had my congas, had brand new djembe, and that's the first time I consider myself performing publicly, like without the dancers and not faking it.
Oh, wow.
That was back in 94 or 5.
Wow.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And still associated with that particular cultural dance troupe. And the half my age, twice my skill thing is in full effect with that. But again, because I've been around.
Yeah.
And then I realized what my father and Baba David Coleman, I said, okay, I get it. They respect him because he's still in the game.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Not everybody's going to be a Frank Jaguar
Right.
and be still in the game and still be like
Right.
fantastic.
The top of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then there's the rest
If
of
I'm
us.
62 and he's older than me, but he's still Frank Jaguar. Yeah, you know what I mean? And pick anybody else we know that when we were all in our 20s trying to do it, and some of us are still playing, we haven't quit.
Yeah.
Some of us have slowed down. Some of us have to practice a little
Yeah.
more to see the kind of improvement we used to see a lot faster.
Yep.
But then some of these guys, they're just still,
Well,
he's still ridiculous.
yeah. I think about that sometimes. It's hard to. I don't know if this makes any sense or if it has any relevance to this, but I think about it. It seems to me that like people who don't play music necessarily, they think that everything is merit is still based on merit. Like, well, if you put the work in, and it's like, some people just have more. They just do. I'm sorry. Some people have more than other people. Some people have more and waste it. I mean, but who knows? We'll never know why. Why did he get this and you got that and I got this?
How come Will Kennedy's not a household name?
Right.
And
sure.
Don't get mad at me, world.
Sure.
Ringo Starr.
Right.
I'm not saying Ringo sucks. That's not what I'm saying.
But he's not.
Look at the facility on the instrument.
Sure.
And again,
100%.
It's totally subjective.
Ringo's my number one, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
It's subjective.
Yeah.
Some people look at chops. Some people look at grooves. Yada 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 yada.
Right.
But if we went by what we would call ability,
right.
the landscape would be very different.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
You got the Monkees.
Yeah.
And you got Ohio Players.
Yeah.
Or you got Creedence Clearwater Revival. No, you're going, wait a minute. How did the Monkees get so big so quickly, and why did it take Creedence Clearwater Revival so long? Or here's a good one. Kenny Hamber is 81 years old.
Yeah.
Very few people know of him. He's been doing it since he was 16.
Yeah.
And he's still doing it. And he sounds like he's 41.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Now, if you're in the vocal music industry, you dug that stuff from the 60s and 70s, you know who Kenny Hamber is.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you were a Shy Light, if you were a Temptation, if you were a Stair Step, if you were a Platter, you know Kenny Hamber.
I got you. Yeah.
But
that's
John Peckman's neighbor doesn't know Kenny Hamber.
Yeah.
Then there are people who just can't sing.
Yeah.
And everybody knows him.
Oh, boy.
Okay. I'm going to get in trouble for this one, too.
Yeah.
Nothing against this guy, because I don't hate on people who figured it out.
Sure.
How did Bob Dylan make it as a singer?
Right. Well,
no, you get what I'm saying?
Totally,
I'm not saying Bob Dylan isn't what he is. I'm saying if I'm looking at vocal ability,
100%.
How the heck did that happen? Because that's not how it works.
Did you see the flick? There's a new Bob Dylan flick.
Really?
There is. I'm not.
No, but I mean, what I'm saying is, if you figure it out, you figure it out.
Right.
If it happens for you, it happens for you.
Right.
No.
Right. Right. Yeah,
listen,
I hear you.
If your stack is taller than mine, and we're in the same endeavor.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
And I know somebody who's better than you. I'm not mad at you for figuring it out.
Yeah.
And not cutting this guy in. I mean, we can all look at people that have come from our surroundings that go around the world and do great things. And you go, but so-and-so was so much better than it. Doesn't work like that.
I know, of course.
It doesn't work like that. So I finally arrived at a point where, Alvin, you're going to be on stage and Dennis Chambers is going on before you, and Virgil Donati's going on after you, and right after that is Vinnie Colaiuta.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Yeah.
There was a time I would have went, "You're out of your mind."
Yeah.
But now I'm like, if I try to be like that, that's wrong. I'm coming to say what I gotta say.
Dude.
do what I gotta do.
Well,
and that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And well, you say that because you're not as good as them. No, I say that because I realize, yes, I'm not as good as them, and two, I'm not supposed to be. Because if I was supposed to be as good as them, I would be as good as them.
I know. I've been through the same thing. I hear you. Where I just think, I don't know if this is the same, if we're talking about the same thing, but as you get older, you just go, you know what? This is the way a guy my age plays. And that's what I am. I am this thing. You'd have to be me
and
to arrive at this point. Yeah.
Assignments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Based on what you know.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're looking for a chops meister.
Yeah, that wouldn't be.
That ain't me.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm going to tell them that. And if they say, no, I want you.
Yeah.
Okay. Long as you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what I do. And I used to tell my students, people hire you for one of a couple of reasons.
Mm.
They want what you do already.
Yeah.
They want that.
Mm-hmm.
Or they know what they have in mind and they think you can do it. They think you can give it to them.
Yeah.
You might not even know you can give it to them, but for some reason, they think that they'll get it from you.
Sure.
Those are the two reasons you get you get hired.
Yeah.
I know Peckman does this.
Yeah.
Peckman's the guy for the job because I know what he does. But if somebody refers you to somebody, and that person doesn't really know you, but you come highly recommended, whatever, and then they check you out a little bit, they go, you know what? He can do what I'm looking for.
Oh boy.
And so you get the shot.
Did you see my Bernard Purdy interview? I had him here.
No,
dude. Okay.
I'm gonna check that out.
You gotta see that. I'm very proud of it because
I'm gonna check that out.
I was very happy, but that's so. I don't know if this is again the same conversation we're having, but dig this. So it's the same with Bernard. So Bernard is in his swing, and at that point, I said, "So when do people start calling you for what you do? Like they understand that you're the guy." And he's like, "I didn't even think of it that way. I just show up and do whatever the job is." And it's like, because I don't know. It's
you
hard to
don't
click.
always realize why.
Right.
As the person who got the call,
right,
you just want to fit the bill.
Right.
You just want to, this is what they need. Okay, that's what I'm going to try to do.
That's how you stay great.
I mentioned Bernard Purdy when we were here last time because it was one of those, my father had a flute player friend, Harold Alexander. They call him Jazzbo.
Okay.
Late 60s, early 70s.
Yep.
Daddy told me that Jazzbo hired Bernard Purdy. Didn't like the way he played.
Well,
Harold was out there.
Yeah.
Bernard wasn't, but
Sure.
Bernard was making a name for himself in the city.
Sure.
So, of course, you got to try that guy.
Yeah.
He didn't like Bernard Purdy.
Yeah.
And so Bernard Purdy is not on the Harold Alexander album.
Right. Can you imagine?
He's on every other album.
Well, someone ended up on
that
but
album. You get so.
Yeah.
Like I said, it really is subjective.
Yeah.
I've met people that have told me, "Hey, man, you have the greatest feel for whatever that I've ever heard," and I'm like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah. Right. And you were just trying to keep the gig.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you gotta. There's the humility.
Yeah.
But in some way, there's like the recognition. You have to be willing to humbly accept what. It's a privilege for somebody to call you and ask you to play with them.
Hell yeah.
Especially if you never played with them before.
Yeah.
That's a privilege for the person who's getting the call.
Yeah.
And if they like what you did and want to work with you again, that's even more of a privilege. Some gigs, they're only going to be a one-off.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've done 1,000 of those.
Yeah, me too.
But I've done just as many whenever that person does something.
Yeah.
Now that they found me, they want it to be me, and if I'm not available, they'll get somebody else. But that's what we do. That's what we do with our keyboard players. That's what we do with our bass players.
Yeah.
As a drummer leading a band, you got your Rolodex.
Yeah. Totally.
And you got your your first string,
Yeah.
your and what you want is the 1980s Lakers. You want your bench to be just as good as your stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I enjoy. I enjoy picking up the phone and people see my number and go, ooh, hey. You don't want to be the guy when they see your number, they go, oh, no.
Yeah.
$11.
Oh, boy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get the call, the people looking for a violinist, people looking for, I mentioned this last time.
Yeah. You're the guy.
Because I just have been blessed to be associated with so many different people in so many different situations.
Yeah.
You know, I had to start, when I put people on my phone, I had to start putting guitar.
Yeah, right.
Met at Black Eyed Sound.
Right.
You know, bass. Met at Cafe
You're like an ambassador.
Because I'll meet you.
Right.
And it was cool, but I might not see you for 3 years.
Right.
And somebody will ask me, do I know you? And I don't remember having.
But you'll go, oh, that cat at Black Eyed Sally's.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here's a guy.
Yeah.
I met him. I heard him play. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And when we do that with and for each other, the local scene is a really cool thing. Because at some point we all wanted to be the touring musician.
Right.
We all wanted that.
Right, sure.
But then I mentioned this before. COVID kicked touring musicians in the butt.
Yeah.
Local musicians went back to work first.
Hey, see what I'm saying?
We went back to work first.
Far out.
The restaurants had the outdoor patios. 1,000-seaters became 300-seaters. And we were the ones playing those gigs. The country clubs. We were playing the private events. The $20,000 a week musicians. It took much longer for them to get back to work.
Right. Yeah.
So they make more in a week playing than I make in 3 months playing.
Yeah.
But
I'm
working.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm doing stuff. So, you know.
Yeah.
You got to take it as it comes.
Yeah, man.
Take it as it comes.
For sure. Always. As long as it's coming. You know?
So here's the part where for a few seconds, I interview you.
Oh, I'm ready.
So what are you doing, man?
Me? Teaching mostly. I have a secret weird life as a karaoke host. I do host karaoke at a dive bar in my hometown.
Okay.
I just fell into it years ago. And I'm like, okay, this is easy. I'm a path of least resistance kind of guy. You know? And I'm like, okay. And then drum-wise, there's a Led Zeppelin Bad Company tribute band that I kind of got involved in. That's kind of getting there, which is a whole other story. Like, I did that because I didn't think I could, and I got my pride. I just said, now's the time. I'm going to try and take this one. But I'm not that kind of drummer, but I am now, because I was like, let me try and get this. And then organ trio. Do you know Kevin Barry?
No, but funny you mentioned
once
organ
a month.
Trio.
Yeah,
next on my list.
Ooh.
And I got 2 or 3 organists in mind.
Okay.
I've been talking to them.
Yeah, man.
Organ, drums, and sax.
Oh, yeah.
Organ, drums, guitar.
Yeah, it's just organ
drums,
guitar.
sax, and guitar.
Yeah.
And check out Lou Bennett.
Okay.
And a drummer.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm doing that, and I'm learning to play organ trio. That's my thing now. I'm just like, okay. And it's really fun because it's different.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, all right, so I'm listening to some of the classic players trying to figure out how do I approach this, and that's why I like it, because it's fun, because it's got to be challenging for me at this point, because I don't really want to do anything that I've already done. It's like, what's the point? It doesn't pay anymore. There's nothing to learn. But if I'm going to do something like, I never really played organ trio, like, can I operate at this volume level and still express myself? Let me see if I can figure that out. And then the Zeppelin is the opposite.
In the way,
right,
swing-wise, they need you to operate.
Right.
It's
a whole different
organ
thing.
trio music, and
which I dig anyway. So I always wanted to.
Classical blues. I'll call it classic.
Yeah.
There's a way you got to operate as the drummer that
different.
you can take time and pay attention and see what that is. Because over the last few years, I've been getting more blues gigs. And I was like, again, no, I can't be faking it.
Yeah.
Let me find out what this
I'm in
is.
the process,
So, you get your YouTube playlist and you play it all week.
Mm-hmm.
And then you sit down and try to. When I
doing.
first started playing with the Afro-Semitic experience, we're doing music from several different genres, but heavy on the klezmer influence, klezmer-like substance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they liked what I was doing well enough. I mean, but God rest the dead, Stacy Phillips, who was our dobro player.
Okay.
He said, Alvin, I want you to check out. And he gave me a list. He said, I don't mean you got to play like this.
Yeah.
He said, I want you to check this out.
Yeah.
It'll give you
Put
some
this in your thing.
perspective.
Yeah.
And then, do with it what you will. And I did the same thing with him because he played dobro and violin. I said, listen, man, I'm going to give you some Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm going to give you some Motown. And so there's something to be said for being willing to give it a shot.
Oh, yeah.
But then also knowing, I'm going to have to work at this.
Oh, yeah.
But I can do it.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I'm going to have to.
Well, it's like you with the djembe. It's like I can fake my way through it anyway and imitate the sound of it and make it happen while I'm figuring out how to really do it. And then you kind of get both things going. That's the way I think
if you're sincerely trying to learn, then it happens.
Yeah.
If you're picking it up, faking it, I'm going to get paid. And I know most people don't know. No. But if you suck and you're trying to learn, people are patient.
Yeah.
No, really.
Right.
I'm living proof
that
that if you suck but you're trying to learn, people are patient.
Cool.
I got tapped for a Soundgarden tribute band.
Hey.
The only thing I knew about Soundgarden was whatever songs they had on the radio.
Yeah, sure. He's a great drummer.
I didn't know Matt was a killer.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean?
That's why I like that band out of all of them, because he's funky. He's a funky player.
Howie Cohen from Manchester.
Yeah.
He says, hey, man, I need you to do this with me.
Yeah.
He had blown through 3 or 4 drummers.
Oh, boy.
And the gig was coming up. I said, give me the... gave it to me on cassette.
Oh, boy.
Gave it to me on cassette. And it was probably a half a Day I Tried to Live, Room 1,000 Years Wide, Black Hole Sun, Spoon Man, and Outshine.
Outshine, yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's my... So I take the music, I write my cheat sheet sections, write out the hits. The gig was at the Webster.
Oh.
That was the other thing that was so cool.
Yeah.
Very few local black guys play at the Webster.
Right.
It just wasn't like that. It's better now. So I did the gig, and I felt pretty good about it. And there's this section in Outshined where they juxtapose these 2 sections.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
You know exactly what
I do.
I'm talking about. And da-do-do-ba-bo,
it's a verses on top of the chorus.
Yeah,
or something.
Bam, bam, bam.
It lands in a weird spot.
I couldn't understand it while I was learning it. I inadvertently pulled it off at the gig.
Oh, boy.
Got it right, but didn't know if I was going to.
Yeah.
About 4 months after the gig, not even listening to the music, I went, that's what that is.
Yeah. I know it took me a while, too. I go, there's something funny going on here. I don't know what it is.
Right after the gig, this guy runs up to the stage. Dude,
you're the only one.
God, dude.
You're the only one.
You are God, dude. Because I know he told me how many drummers he blew through. And, it was gratifying.
Yeah.
But when it kicked in, I was like, I get it now. I understand that lick.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
One of the drawbacks of wanting to count, where does it fall in the beat?
Yeah.
Where does it fall in the measure? That's the way I try to learn stuff, and if it's not obvious in that way, it's hit or miss whether or not I'll get it. Whereas I know some drummers, they don't know time signature.
Right.
They don't.
Right.
13/8. They don't know it's 13/8. They understand this is
yeah,
the pattern,
and
I got the pattern.
Just learn it by rote.
And so and I'm a hybrid. I read just enough to read it incorrectly.
Yeah.
And my ear is just good enough that I want to hear it so I can write it down.
Well, that's you. There you are.
So it's
you're in all that, in the middle of all of that, like you say.
Well, yeah, I just charmed life, man. Charmed life.
Love it. Yeah. Hey, we can fly. We can fly. Do you have any last words?
I mentioned to you earlier.
Yeah.
The last time you asked me my favorite food.
Yeah.
And I said, bacon.
Okay. Yeah.
And I said, I'll eat my bacon. I'll eat your bacon.
Yeah. Sure.
Bacon.
Yeah.
March of 2024. Had a doctor's appointment. Had a physical. And she tells me, your pressure's not high.
Yeah. You're getting it.
But it's a little elevated. You might want to watch your, What'd you have for dinner last night? I said, I had a great big salad.
Yeah.
And 6 strips of thick cut bacon.
Yeah.
She you know better than that.
Yeah.
So she told me 2 things. Oh, and she said, your A1C is not high.
Yeah.
But I've noticed it's creeping up.
It's creeping.
So you want to pay attention. So she says, be more active. Be more active. I work 60 hours a week.
Yeah, I'm running
and then
around.
I go do stuff.
Yeah.
And she said, lose a little weight. At the time, I was 179. Biggest I've ever been, but not big at all. I still look like a string bean.
Yeah.
She says, for the sugar, we could. The nurse told me, the doctor said we could put you on metformin. I said, nope, no medication. If she doesn't say I'm gonna die without it, I'm not doing medication.
Wow.
The nurse said, she said you'd probably say something like that. So she said, lose a little weight. I cut out bacon.
Ooh.
Soda.
Oh, okay, sure.
Sweets, cakes, snacks, yada, yada, candy bars.
Yeah.
2 weeks, I went from 179 to 160.
Whoa. Hey, I should
no
try
extra
Wow.
exercise regimen.
You were eating that much bacon?
Only thing I did was I work in a 6-story building. If I'm not carrying something, I use the stairs.
Sure.
Now, since then,
I'm the same way.
back on the sweets, somewhat. I haven't had bacon and I haven't had soda.
Whoa.
And soda was, big gulp every day.
Whoa.
Big gulp and a hot dog, 7-Eleven.
Wow. So you made a big change.
5 days a week.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that's my thing now. I have fallen off the wagon in terms of sweets.
Yeah.
But I don't go berserk.
Yeah.
And I never had a problem eating good food.
Yeah.
I had a problem not eating bad food.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
so
practice
it's not
more.
Bacon anymore.
Trying to practice more.
Yeah. It's cool.
In lieu of practice, it's pick a drummer, make a playlist, listen to them all day. Or pick a YouTube lesson, listen to it 1,000 times. Now, when I sit down, I'm going after something.
Yeah.
I'm not going, okay, what am I going to do today?
Right. Totally.
It doesn't happen as often as I'd like.
Yeah, that's
but,
life.
Work, family, rehearsals, gigs, just other arts endeavors.
Yep.
So that's what's going on, man.
We'll keep on keeping on. Come back
too,
again.
Man.
Oh, always. Yeah. No, I'm never going to stop. I'm always figuring something out. All right. I'm going to press the button. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you sure? You're not going to hear it because you don't have the headphones on, but that's okay.
Peckbone.
Yeah, man. That's me, the John Peckman Show. I probably said that last time. I appreciate that. I love that. That's awesome. I want that to be my thing. Nobody else calls me that. They should. Peckbone.
I'm going to steal.
Yeah.
That is all.
That is all. Yep. John Peckman Podcast, Valley School of Music. 2025. We start with the best. Alvin, he was here. You were here, sir. Thank you. Drive safe, everybody. You can have your own podcast here in our studio. Dave will tell you how. And we will see you next time. That is all.
That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.